Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and today Apple released iOS 15.2 Beta 1. This is currently available to developers, and hopefully by the time you're watching this video, it will be out to public beta testers, although it's not out at the time of recording this. Now, if it's not out today, it will usually be the following day. This came in at 5.42 gigabytes. That's on my iPhone 13 Pro Max. And anytime you go from a public version of iOS 15.1 or earlier to a new beta, you're going to reinstall the whole OS and have a huge install. So the update is about the same size on the iPhone 12 Pro Max and iPhone 6s Plus. Along with this, Apple also released iPadOS 15.2 Beta 1 that I have on my iPad Pro 12.9 from 2021. They also released watchOS 8.3 Beta 1. They skipped 8.2 for some reason, and they didn't release anything else other than a new version of Xcode. So they skipped tvOS and HomePodOS, so we'll have to wait and see when those come out, maybe a little bit later on. Now, yesterday, Apple did release iOS 14.8.1 to those that did not decide to update to iOS 15. It brought all of the security updates and more, so that's all it is. It's not a feature update. In fact, the new AirPods, I tried to see if they were paired with the new device or the 14.8.1 device. They don't show up as AirPods, the new AirPods. So that's something that they haven't updated on the older version, and you won't get all the features, but you will get security updates like they said they would do. So if you don't want to update to iOS 15, that version is out now. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the build number and talk about what's new. So we'll go to Settings, then General, then About. The build number is 19C5026i, and this particular build means we'll probably have at least a few more betas until the final release with an I at the end. Typically, it takes 3 to 4 betas before they'll release one to the public, so it could be a little while now. Now, as far as new features, well, there is a new modem update in this version. So if you were having connectivity issues, whether that be with a new phone or even the iPhone 12 series gets the update, there'll be a modem update. And in the 13 Pro Max, it's version 1.29.01 that they've updated to. Now, as far as new features in iOS 15.2, there's something that we've been wanting for a while that they finally added, and that is App Privacy Report. So if we go back to our settings, under Settings, scroll down to Privacy. Under Privacy, scroll all the way to the bottom, and we have App Privacy Report. Under App Privacy Report, it will show us data and sensor access, network, app network activity. We also have website network activity. We also have most contacted domains, and we can see all of the information. So if we go to maybe Google Maps, it looked at our location 8 minutes ago and photos 2 days ago. So these are things you can allow or disallow, and you can see it even gives the times that things were accessed as well. So we have full information data for the App Privacy Report. We can also share that if we want in the share sheet. So we'll share. There we go. And you have the option to share it or save it to Dropbox or Pinterest or something else with your App Privacy Report. So that's something we've had for a while. We could share that, but now we have it broken down into individual apps. We can go in and see all of the apps that we have and what data they're accessing. So maybe Tesla, and you'll see location, and it accessed quite a few times today. So you'll see all of the information broken down here, which is really nice to see. Now, another thing they've updated has to do with Emergency SOS. So again, in the main page of your settings, scroll down to Emergency SOS. Within Emergency SOS, you can press and hold the side button and either volume button to make an emergency call, or you have the option to call with 5 presses. We've had this before, but the countdown was only 3 seconds. Now it's 8 seconds. So if I press the power sleep wake button rapidly 5 times, it will switch and count down from 8 seconds down to the emergency SOS when it triggers a call. So we can stop it and stop calling. And so it's canceled, and then we'll have to log back in or put in our password. So emergency SOS is now a little bit more reasonable with the amount of time. It was probably triggering a lot of different calls, only given that it was 3 seconds or so until it made that call. Now within focus mode, there's a slight change to some of the wording. So if you go into your focus modes within settings and go to, say, driving, under driving, maybe we'll go back to do not disturb, then go to home screen. And under iOS 15.1 that I have here on the left, We'll go to Focus under the same mode, Do Not Disturb, Home Screen, and you can see this is very minor, but they've changed the wording at the top. And thanks again to my friend Steve Mosier for helping find some of these. You'll see before it said hide notification badges on the home screen apps. Now it says hide notification badges on home screen apps. Apps in your allowed notification list will continue to be badged. And so there is a bunch of similar wording changes throughout the OS this time. Many of it has to do, or much of it has to do with contacts as it's related to the App Privacy app or the App Privacy report. Within the code, Steve also was able to identify that Apple has added the code for some child protection measures, so communication safety in messages. Now, this is not CSAM protection, so that's suspended currently, maybe indefinitely, but this is child protection measures where if you have a child account set up on a phone and someone sends them an explicit photo, it will sort of warn them and say, this could be sensitive to view. Are you sure? And then you could contact a parent or guardian, make sure it's something that's not explicit. And the idea is to make sure children aren't seeing things they shouldn't. Now, of course, this is again controversial, just like CSAM, but this is in the code. There's no easy way to verify whether or not it's truly active though. So they've at least added the code for that, but again, no CSAM detection just yet. So as far as features within iOS 15.2, I would expect the majority of new features, not only from what I've mentioned already, but additional ones to be shown in future beta releases. So as soon as those are available, of course, I'll go over those as well. Now, when it comes to resolved issues, there are 7 resolved issues that Apple has mentioned in the notes for the App Store and SwiftUI. As far as known bugs and issues, there are 2 mentioned, mostly developer focused, and they're really sort of fixing things in this update, but I don't think you're going to see new features until maybe beta 2 or beta 3 beyond what I've already shown you. Now, as far as battery life, it will take a few days to measure that. Since iOS 15.1 has been out to the public, that's what I've been running. And so it always takes a couple days for things to settle as far as the battery and give you an accurate reading of the battery. I generally say 2 to 3 days, and then you'll have a more accurate reading of the battery. I can show you my previous battery life though. So if we look at maybe 2 days ago, you'll see I had 4 hours and 57 minutes of screen on time, 5 hours and 59 minutes of screen off time, and used about 50% of my battery. So this phone is getting amazing battery life, even with the screen off, running music and things like that in the background is really doing quite well. As far as performance seems to be quite good on this device. So far, it's nice and smooth. And on the iPhone 6s Plus, I sort of use it as a benchmark for speed and things like that because it's the oldest phone or one of the older phones that are supported. So you'll see scrolling and things are basically smooth, but about the same as before. And I did go into Minecraft just to see what it was like and show you how fast it loads. It did seem to load a little bit faster than before. It's not super fast, but let's take a look at the frame rate. And we'll respawn here, and the frame rate is nice and fast on this. So it seems to be very smooth. There was a couple betas ago that it wasn't. It seems to be as smooth as this device will be. So in general, I think the overall speed or performance is quite good on this. Now, this did start to get a little bit warm when I opened Minecraft, but even after the update, it was only slightly warm on any of these devices. So far, the newer phones and even any of the other devices I'm using are not getting terribly hot when updating. I think Apple might be pushing more focus on the battery and trying to keep that processor cool. As far as benchmarks, I used Geekbench 5, and you'll see that the single core score on the iPhone 13 Pro Max was 1,680. The multi-core score was 4,656. Typically, this will go up after a little while. But if we take a look at the history here, and you can see today versus before, so let's get rid of the other ones. You'll see we're actually a little bit down, but I only ran this once. Typically, if I run it again, it will increase since it's done sort of processing things in the background. Now let's take a look at all of these devices. On the left, I have the iPad Pro 12.9 from 2021. In the middle is the iPhone 6s Plus, and then on the right is the iPhone 13 Pro Max. And like I said, I ran it once on all of these devices, and so these could increase a little bit over time as all the background processes are finished, but it gives you a general idea of what to expect. Now, for those of you that are curious about iPad, you're going to get the same sorts of features on iPadOS 15.2 Beta 1. So again, if we go to privacy, we can go all the way down. We have that app privacy report, and it just loaded there, and that gives you a general idea of what to expect. It's not going to have any different features right now than the other versions. So the iPhone and the iPad are pretty much synced up with that. But other than what I've already mentioned, don't expect anything new on the iPad just yet. Now, as far as battery life seems to be poor still for me on this device. So you'll see here that battery life is generally about 5 hours of screen on time before recharging it, and sometimes even less. So 4 hours and 21 minutes, then I used it for another hour, and then I had to recharge it last night. So it's just not doing very well with battery life. Hopefully this update fixes it. Now, as far as if you should install iOS 15.2 beta, well, if you know what you're getting into, then you can try it out and see how it goes for you. But without using it for a few days and not using any 15.2 beta yet, I can't really say as to the stability of it and whether or not you should install it on your main device. I typically recommend against that until using it for a few days. So if you're going to use it on your main device, I may hold off a little bit, but if you want to try it out on maybe a secondary device or an iPad that you don't use for your main device for phone calls and texting, then maybe I would try it out. Otherwise, I would hold off a little bit if you're not used to betas. As far as the next beta release, I would expect that within 1 to 2 weeks. Lately, Apple has been pushing them out weekly, so we could see it as soon as next week, maybe the 3rd, or we could see it the following week after that. We don't really know. They've been really random this year as far as when they're pushing out betas and what to expect with that. So that's everything with iOS 15.2 Beta 1. Just a couple different updates and some bug fixes. I expect more in future updates. If there's anything else you've found, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. And if you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, of course, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already, though, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.